And that brings us to a solution to the hitherto accepted standard of care, and that is Eculizumab or Soliris, which was FDA approved, and you probably know this in the back of your hand. It's now in evaluation phase for a number of other diseases. So I think we've just touched the tip of the iceberg for the diseases for which Eculizumab will be useful. When it first came out, we predicted it will be useful for certain complement-mediated diseases. It's turned out to be useful for a different set of complement-mediated diseases. And in the kidney transplant field, there are other situations where we're beginning to use this drug. We've recently had a patient who had an ABO incompatible transplant. That is a patient who's had a blood group kidney transplanted into himself, who was an O blood group recipient. And in that situation, you can get a violent antigen-antibody reaction with death of the kidney. And we were able to rescue that very severe reaction with the use of Eculizumab. There's been a study that's just been published last month that is showing us that Eculizumab can be used in patients who have a lot of antibodies. And some of you who are waiting for, or your children who are waiting for a kidney transplant and are waiting for the right time to have it with Soliris, are probably facing a situation where, because of the number of transfusions you've had, that you may have antibodies in your system that provide its own challenge in having a kidney transplant, over and above the challenge of having atypical HUS. And if Eculizumab appears to have a role in reversing those severe antibody reactions that we sometimes see in transplant patients, those with antibodies, those with APO incompatibility, then Eculizumab, if you will, becomes a double bonus for us. And I suspect we're going to see increasing uses of this drug in not only the transplant field, but in some other diseases. And perhaps Dr. Bedrosian will touch upon this when she talks about the clinical trials. So it's an orphan drug for an orphan disease. It's a biologic. It's a humanized monoclonal antibody. What that essentially means is that antibody has been carefully engineered by Alexion to resemble a human protein. So it's as close to a human protein as possible. And the reason for that is so that we do not, if you will, mount a response to drive that antibody away. It's a foreign protein, just like a protein that you might get with a viral infection. And we are geared to make antibodies against everything that's foreign, including antibodies that are given to us as forms of therapy. So by making it humanized, by making it look as close to a human protein as possible, if you will, we are trying to fool our own immune system into thinking that's us and not them. And that, I think, will result in fewer and fewer of you getting the drug, developing antibodies against the drug that can make the drug, theoretically at least, ineffective or inactive.